Okay, this is number 8 in section 5.1. And here we're told that we have a mass that weighs 32 pounds and it stretches the spring 2 feet. Well, from that I know that F is Ks, right? So that tells me that 32 pounds is equal to K times 2, or K is 16. So that's the information they're giving me there. Now they want me to find the amplitude, or they want us to find the amplitude and the period of motion. And they give us a little more information. So that's if the mass is initially released from a point 1 foot above the equilibrium. So that means that the position initially is 1 foot, or -1. So 1 foot above equilibrium. And remember that upwards we're using a minus sign to describe. And then it has an upward velocity of 2 feet per second. So the velocity then, the initial velocity, or x prime of 0, has an upward velocity, so is equal to -2 feet per second. So we want to go ahead and solve this differential equation. To do that, you see what we, then that's because to find the amplitude, we need to find what C1 and C2 are in our solution. Now first, before we do that, let's find out what W is. Well, omega squared, that's what I mean by W. Omega squared is K over M. We already have K, now we need M. Well, we're given here the weight, and the weight is equal to mg, so that means that m is equal to the weight over g. And here I have 32 is the weight, and then 32 feet per second squared is the gravity constant, and so that's 1. That means that w squared is 16. So then that tells me that x of t is equal to c1 cosine of wt, so that 4t, plus c2 sine of wt, so that's 4t. That's because w squared is 16, so that I keep saying w, but I mean omega. Omega is 4 in this case. Okay? Now we can use these initial conditions to find c1 and c2. So first let me go ahead and find x prime here, and I get minus 4c1 sine of 4t plus 4c2 cosine of 4t. So x of 0, sine of 0 is 0, cosine of 0 is 1, gives me c1. According to the initial condition, that should be -1. X prime of 0, again sine is 0, so I get 4c2, and that needs to be -2. So that c2 is -1/2. Okay, now once I have that, I can find the amplitude to be the square root of c1 squared plus c2 squared. And that gives us the square root of -1 squared plus -1/2 squared, which is square root of 1 plus 1/4, or the square root of 5 over 2. The other thing that they're asking us to do is find the period. Now the period t is going to be 2 pi over w, and so I get 2 pi over 4, or pi over 2. And finally, how many cycles in 4 pi seconds? Well, we know we have w over 2 pi cycles per second, which is 4 over 2 pi. So 4 over 2 pi times 4 pi seconds is going to give us here 8. So 8 cycles per second, and that answers our last question here. At the end of 4 pi seconds, how many cycles? 8.